Greetings, dear learners. Hope you are doing well. I am Dr. Jitendra. We will learn today different other aspects related to the road traffic accident. In the last class, we learned the drunkenness and its medico-legal aspects. Today, we will learn some other topics. One of the important topic related to the various injuries and the road traffic incidences are the disaster medicine. Disaster medicine has emerged as a crucial discipline dedicated to effectively managing human casualties during the catastrophic events. A disaster is defined as a calamity resulting in deaths of 50 or more peoples, overwhelming normal health and the emergency services. So, as we already know, in the mass disaster, it is the 8 or more people if die in a single event, then it is termed as a mass disaster. However, in the disaster medicine, it is the 50 and more people that should be involved, and in that case, it is considered under the disaster medicines. Throughout history, numerous instances underscore the importance of disaster medicine. For instance, the eruption of the Mount Vesuvius. For instance, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius near the Pompeii in the 79th AD released the toxic gases claiming over 2000 lives. During the World War I, deliberate use of chlorine, phosgene and the mustard gas led over lakhs of the death and around 1.2 million casualties. Similarly, in the Second World War, witnessed the horrific use of the carbon monoxide and the hydrogen cyanide in the Nazi concentration camps, resulting in deaths of the millions of the innocent victims. Industrial accidents and the environmental disaster have also contributed to the evolution of the disaster medicine. In 1984, Bhopal gas tragedy in India caused over 2000 deaths and left over 2 lakhs injured due to the methyl isocyanide poisoning. The incident underscored the need for the effective disaster response and the accountability. Recently in Odisha, a heavy railway traffic accident resulted in the hundreds of the deaths. Similarly, in 1986, carbon dioxide leak in the Cameroon led to the 1700 deaths, highlighting the global impact of such events. In 1990, a fire in the New York club caused by the carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide claimed 87 lives, while a gas drilling incident in China in 2003 resulted in over 200 deaths and forced the evacuation of the 40,000 individuals. Terrorism has also introduced new challenge in the disaster medicine. The deliberate release of the sarin gas in the Tokyo subway lines in 1995 by the terrorists resulted in deaths of the 11 people and the injuries to the hundreds more, demonstrating the potential for the mass casualties. Moreover, the Gulf War syndrome observed in veterans of the 1991 conflict presents a complex medical challenge with the symptoms ranging from the fatigue to the memory loss. Some theories suggest a connection to exposure of smoke from the burning oil wells or the organophosphates used during the chemical warfare. In essence, disaster medicine continues to be evolved in response to the historical events and emerging threats, emphasizing the importance of the precautions, preparedness, coordination, and the accountability in the mitigating the impact of the disaster on the human lives and the communities. Disaster medicine has evolved significantly during the recent period. A number of different types of sorts of injuries are very significant in the disaster situations. In case of mass disaster or under the disaster medicine, the primary aim in the postmortem examination is the identification of the person rather than the knowing the cause of death. Usually in the bomb explosion or in the case of the heavy traffic accidents carrying the large number of people, in those cases where a large significant number of people has been involved, the whole health resources are deprived. In those cases, the involvement of the different machineries are very important. The important concept of tries is very useful, that we segregate the patient according to their priorities. We color the patient according to the whether they are in the black zone, green zone, or red zone, or yellow zone. Then we can green green tag mark may be used who are in the good condition and they don't need any medical services, and they are okay without any of much interventions. They are under the green categories. Red categories are those who need the immediate intervention. They need the priorities. They need to be taken to the hospitals. If not taken, then they can be dangerous to their life and they need the first priority. Then yellow, that is in between, where it can be waited for some time for the decisions, and the patients may be shifted later on, or on the scene management. At the scene only they can be managed, like those patients may be tackled at that place only. Black coding may be used for those who have died in that scene. So in this way, different color management and the disaster mitigation may be planned. And those who have died in the mass disaster, there are the many issues involved. Primarily issue is the identification. Relatives want to know who was that person and exactly what is the condition of the relative. That is a grave concern in cases of the mass disaster. Here the role of the forensic specialist is very important. They play a very pivotal role in the identification process, as the one of the prime objective of the autopsy is the identification. So how it shall be done as so how it should be done practically is very important. You arrange the body in a proper manner. You tag every body with the particular what all findings. You number the bodies. You give a identification number. Then you collect all the materials that is present with that body, and you can keep them everything separated, segregated. Then you make the examination as per the post-mortem report. You examine for the injuries and all the belongings and everything. Then you get samples for the DNA as well. Here the cause of death purpose is not very much important. In such cases where suppose a large number of deaths has happened, most of the deaths occurs with the similar reasons. Like in case of Bhopal gas disaster, around 2000 deaths occurred. In those cases, the 90% of deaths had the very similar features. Few sample postmortems may be done in those cases, and that is applicable in all the cases. And the videography and all the things shall be recorded. In the case of the bomb explosion, we may need to identify the perpetrator. So in those cases, we have to do some examination. In those cases, we should document injuries properly. And then once the post-mortem is over, then you have to bury those bodies. Then you have to bury those bodies in a mass graves, as there is a scarcity of the crematorium and the body start to petrify. We don't have the proper cold storage. We are not having the proper facilities to manage all the bodies. We don't have all the experts and all the facilities usually at the scene of the disaster, so that it is overloaded task and everyone is engaged with their task. And in those cases, usually mass graveyards are created. There again, you have to properly decide which body has been placed at which position, and many times it may be necessary that it is a temporary graveyard and body may be taken out, and again once the relative has been identified, to prevent even for the decomposition and natural method, digging the soil and then you can keep the body inside. It will decrease the putrefaction process. If we don't have the proper cold storage, then we can use this technique for the prolonged storage of the body in a comparatively better condition. So this type of measures are taken in cases of the mass disaster. Then once the claimant comes, then in those cases we show the photographs, all the body belongings, and then if the body is in condition, then we can show the person, and in this way identification is completed. It usually takes a number of days depending upon the number of the cases that is involved in the mass disaster. Then the disaster medicine associated with the road vehicular accidents. Disaster medicine encompasses a broad spectrum of emergencies, including motor vehicular accidents, and plays a pivotal role in managing aftermath of such incidents. Motor vehicular accidents are the significant cause of the injury mortality worldwide, leading to wide range of medical emergency. Motor vehicular accidents often result in the multiple casualties, overwhelming healthcare systems, necessitating coordinated disaster response efforts. Immediate medical response in case of the mass disaster with road traffic accident. Disaster medicine emphasizes the importance of immediate medical response to motor vehicular accidents. including on-site triage, stabilization, and transportation of the injured individual to the appropriate medical facilities. Rapid assessment and treatment of the trauma-related injuries such as fracture, head injuries, and internal bleeding are critical in improving the patient's outcome. Multidisciplinary approach is usually followed. Effective management of the motor vehicular accidents require multidisciplinary approach involving emergency medical services, law enforcement, fire department, and healthcare providers. Coordination between these agencies is essential for the efficient triage, extraction of the trapped individuals, and transportation of the patients to the trauma centers. Disaster medicine also focuses on the preventive strategies and the public health measures to reduce the incidences and the severity of the motor vehicular accidents. Initiatives such as road traffic safety campaigns, enforcement of the seatbelt laws, and the measure of the combat driving contribute to the mitigating the risk of the accidents and minimizing the injuries. Beyond the acute phase, disaster medicine addresses the long-term rehabilitation and medical care needs to the motor vehicle accident survivors. Rehabilitation programs, physical therapies, and the psychological support are the integral component of the continuum of the care for the individual recovering from the motor vehicular accident related injuries and the trauma. Then the motor vehicular accidents are integrated into the broader disaster response framework, emphasizing the importance of preparedness, coordination, and resilience in the responding of to the emergencies. Training healthcare professionals, emergency responders, community members in the motor vehicular management and the disaster preparedness enhances the overall response capacity. Disaster medicine acknowledges the significant impact of the motor vehicular accidents on the public health and safety and underscore for the importance of the comprehensive emergency response strategies to mitigate the consequences of such incidents. In this way, the disaster medicine and the motor vehicular accidents are interrelated.